Oh
weird.
my god!
I have like weird explanations for this, but no, it's okay.
Forgot I'm not
It
supposed
is
to do this.
tied.
Hello and welcome to Lunchbox TV review of Spider-Man No Way Home. We are here, we've made it, and we're all the better for it. We've got a lot to say, so let's just get right into it. Initial thoughts. Tell me what you think of the movie, guys.
I'll go first. Oh my god. Okay, no spoilers. I freaking loved it. I loved it. It felt like a treat. It felt like it was made for me. I also just generally like Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the first hero I was ever introduced to. My dad is a super big Spider-Man fan. So it has like, I don't know, just anything Spider-Man I really like. But this movie was made for anyone who just likes all Spider-Man things. It felt very, I don't know, it was so good. It was so freaking good. I can't stop talking about it. I'm annoying everyone in my life because I keep asking people like, have you seen it? Have you seen it? Because I just want to talk about it. So I've had the same conversation with like anyone in my life who's seen it. I'm like, okay, so like, let's talk about everything. So it's really nice though, because it's great to bond with people, like people I don't know very well. When I posted on my Instagram that I'd like seen Spider-Man, people were messaging me being like, oh, let's talk. I'm like, oh, wow, amazing. So I love it. I love it so much. I've literally bought tickets to see it again next week. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, Spider-Man garbage. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I loved it. I laughed, I cried, I was utterly entertained by everything. No spoiler report. I mean, no spoilers yet, but a person that doesn't get as much credit for this is John Watts, the director. Spectacular job in making this movie with everything that's happening in it. And for that, I'm so excited now for what he's going to do with the Fantastic Four. So, yes. Amazing movie. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's like the quintessential Spider-Man movie. This is it. It's like it references a lot of things from the past movies, and it reinforces the main ethos of Spider-Man. And like very few, like very minor complaints that I have about the movie. But otherwise, just I loved it. I loved everything. They got the character right, like exactly what you want to see from Spider-Man. They got the villains perfectly. Everyone had their time to shine. The actors, we'll get to all that. But now we're going into the spoiler territory, and we're gonna talk story. What did everyone think of just the plot, and I suppose the twist as well?
We'll do a round table.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pass it around because it's going to be
pass it around because there's a lot.
Okay, I want to start by saying that I am so proud of myself, and this is a me moment. Like, good for me. I didn't watch the trailer. I actively avoided everything relating to this.
Wow.
So
at all,
I went. Yeah, I watched none of it. I watched the trailer last night for the first time. So, yeah. So all I knew, because I tried to avoid things, but you know, you can't be 100%. I'd heard the Willem Dafoe laugh and I knew Doc Ock was involved. That was it. That was literally, I knew nothing else. I wouldn't even, anyone started saying like spider, I was like, don't talk to me. And they're like, no, there's a spider there. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Like I avoided it like the plague. And I'm so happy that I did, because anything I could have conjured up in my brain about how these characters existed, like why is Goblin there? Why is Doc Ock there? Why are other Spider-Mans there? Da, da, da. I could not have come even close to how great this was. And I think I would have just like confused myself and been like so wrapped up in my own personal story. So I got to really enjoy it for what it was. And like the way they worked in that all of these past characters come back made so much sense to me, and made sense why like the story just worked. It actually just made so much sense as far as like a multiverse story. I was worried it would be too big, too grand. And it made so much sense. It was still actually so grounded for what it was. So I'm thrilled that it played out the way it did.
Yeah, no. Story-wise, it's everything I think Spider-Man should be. If you know Spider-Man comics, he gets put through the ringer, and this is exactly what Peter goes through. And all his kind of experience didn't matter in this, because he's a kid, and they show that really well, with all the mistakes that he's making and how he's trying to right those mistakes. And this is the Spider-Man story that I've been waiting for. Technically, it's kind of all their origin stories into one, and it still worked perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna talk about the plot for a second. It is a very, very comic book plot. The fact that, hey, make everyone forget, everyone in the world forget, and then it somehow fractured the multiverse. It's a pretty big leap from, from one part of the movie to the other part of the movie. Like it's a little tough to kind of accept it, but once it gets going, you forget about all the you get over it. You forgive it for being so grand. Especially me, because I read so tons of comics, and that basically happens almost every issue, no matter what comic you're reading. So yeah, there's that in terms of plot. As far as the story goes, yeah, there's God, what do you even say? That yeah, it captured Spider-Man perfectly. I forgot what part. Oh, right, when Doctor Strange was gonna send the villains back, and you have that moment where Spider-Man's like, no, we have to help these guys. Like that is the main ethos of Spider-Man. Like, no matter what, you help them. And that carried through even when other Spider-Men were added to the mix. That was that's the beauty of Spider-Man. That like, no matter what happens to him, he always maintains that the responsibility.
You said the word. We got to talk about it. So
yeah,
I think Lou touched on it really well, that this was actually in a lot of ways an origin story for Tom Holland Spider-Man. Like, this is actually kind of catching him more up to speed with where other Spider-Man stories have started, where he is now, like, he has a clearer vision of what he stands for as a hero, and not just I help people, I'm just a guy, like I just help people. But now he has like this true ethos, this vision, this like understanding of why he does what he does and who he's doing it for. And like in Spider-Man fashion, like you had to kill somebody to do it. In this case, it was his May. And of course, hearing her do her version, the
classic line
of the oh baby.
Okay. Sorry, I need to interject. Like, I was in this theater, I was biting my lips to keep myself from ugly crying right there, because like it was a battle. It was a battle of wills.
I cried, and I just kind of hit it, and I was like, I was like this, and I was just like,
I watched like the second half of the movie like this, like literally just holding tissues under my eyes, because once it started, like something like there's one scene which we'll get to, and I will apologize now if I cry even explaining this scene again, because I literally was explaining it to my dad the other day, and I literally was crying explaining to him. I'm like, am I okay? This scene messed me up. But May was the thing that started the tears, like, for me pretty substantially. And then like you have the Spider-Men come together to share like their similar, like that scene from May dying, which also like the fake out of May being like, I'm good, and then not being good. Damn it, why'd you have to do that? That hurt, because I was convinced she had died, and then I was so relieved that she was fine, and then just kidding. Yeah. Once like my guard was down, she died, so that hurt. But then you have the other Spider-Man kind of coming together and talking about like their losing of Ben or of Gwen or whoever, and that moment having like these other characters that know this Peter Parker so well, yet not at all, was so like they did that. It was so great for this story to catch our Spider-Man Tom Holland up to like where he needs to be as a character. They like infused him with like the ethos of Spider-Man, and it's amazing to see this happen and know like there's more coming from this like Tom Holland Spider-Man, and that he's going to be like more confident as a character, because we've seen a very like young and questioning, like, hi Mr. Stark. We're gonna see like this like more maturity coming from this character, and I'm excited to see his growth in this character. And this is like a great tragic way to get there, but gorgeous, beautiful. Wouldn't change a thing for that.
Yeah, I know we're probably in story wise we're going to just jump back and forth all over the movie, but I want to highlight the ending in particular, where I was like, wow, this is a great ending. It serves as like a soft reboot for Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and now we get the more traditional Spider-Man without the tether of like Tony Stark and the tech and all his other superpowered friends. Seeing him enter that apartment, and this is like Spider-Man, and then when he kind of just made his own costume, like sewed his own costume and had the like the brighter blue, the more comic, I guess, accurate Spider-Man costume, and I was like, I love it. And especially I think it was yesterday, Kevin Feige that confirmed that they are working on Spider-Man 4 so that the fans wouldn't get separation anxiety thinking if he's coming back.
Thank God, because
That was a great
getting
move
me.
by Kevin Feige. But yeah.
A bit of a tragic ending though with MJ
That was sad.
and
That
Ned. Yeah,
broke me.
yeah,
was my
Yeah,
second
that-
moment where I went,
yeah. I was gonna say like Lou, you did mention that it was like an origin story, and it just sort of hit me where it's like, oh, this is where Spider-Man was supposed to be all along.
Yeah.
Without that
100%,
attachment
yeah.
to Tony Stark, right? Like he's his own superhero. He's doing superheroic things in the Marvel universe. Nobody knows him, and like going forward, that's where we're gonna go. I can't wait to see more. Like whether it's Spider-Man or whether it's like other Avengers movies where he just pops in, God knows in what movie.
because
Like,
this is what Spider-Man, the real Spider-Man does. This is Spider-Man.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was sad. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I had like a real disappointment moment at that ending. Like, I understand it, but I loved how much they made MJ and Ned be so supportive of Peter. Like, I want friends like that. Are you kidding? Like, they are just that relationship between the three of them was so strong and so amazing in this movie. And then it really hurt that they kind of took that away from us at the end. And I understand the why. Like, it absolutely makes sense for his character. But I was like, man, y'all were functioning so well. It was such a cute, like, little trifecta of friendship and relationship. And like, I don't know. It just, that part felt so sad to me, especially because like he lied to her forever, because he, she's like, I love you, and then he's about to say it, and then she's like, no, you come find me and you tell me, and then he doesn't.
Yeah.
And like, are you joking? Are you damn kidding me? So my only hope is that like in the next movies we see them like redevelop a relationship and get back to that place, because if you don't give me that, I'm gonna riot, because how dare you give us like such a fun new take on MJ and then just kidding, like she's ooh, she better come back, and also her name's Michelle, bring her back. Like, that's it. Bring back my other Michelle. Like, there's never Michelles in good roles. Like, where's cool Michelle? Never. So bring me her back, please.
I'm glad that it was like she was actually Watson. It was like,
Yeah.
Watson. No, I don't go by that name. And it was like, oh,
Right.
wow, she is MJ Watson.
Yeah. So we know it's like truly her though, because
Yeah.
now there couldn't be like another MJ that shows up. Like, no, this is MJ Watson.
One more thing I'd like to highlight about the story is the fan service, and that it is the best kind of fan service you can have, because you get all these characters and you're thinking they're just cameos, but those fan service is serving the narrative, and it's serving it really well, although some parts get a little kind of tongue-in-cheeky and kind of corny in a way, but it was fine overall. And I guess one more thing I want to thank John Watts for. Thanks for having the Filipino grandma there. That's most of the Filipino grandmas. That's what they do.
I honestly thought of you and a couple of my other friends. I was like, I guarantee you, my Filipino friends are vibing with us right now.
My grandma does that too.
I just want to point out, like, while watching the movie, I'm like, Ned is like identical to Lou in like his optimism, just like him getting excited about all these things. It's like, that's Lou right there. Like, if Lou was becoming a sorcerer, that would be his reaction. So Yeah, there we
That
go.
wouldn't be the first time I've been compared to Ned.
There you go.
It's not bad. Let's move on to the next portion because we're just talking about the entire movie, but let's focus in on the performances now. Alfredo Molina, we had Willem Dafoe, Jamie Foxx, not to mention Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire. There's lots of people. Andrew Garfield, the Spider-Man, everyone, Zendaya. What do you think of the performances? Was there anyone that stood out for you?
Okay, I'm so excited to talk about this. Andrew Garfield. So the Amazing Spider-Man movies were fine. Like I was like, they're movies, they're okay. Whatever. He got the justice that his character deserved and that he deserved as an actor. And his performance in this movie, amongst a very I have no complaints about any performances, honestly, but his performance to me stood out. There's one scene and it's the one that makes me cry. But so we know his story. He lost his Gwen Stacy. That was a very intense moment. Like I remember seeing that and being just flabbergasted when she died. And then he gets his redemption moment where he saves MJ. And I'm literally tearing up. And literally he cried. And that just broke. I'm literally hello, am I okay? That moment was so good, so beautiful. So in the midst of a huge, really awesome, really robust action sequence, it was this really really short, really impactful moment between him and MJ, where just he asked her, "Are you okay?" and she asked him, "Are you okay?" and he just had literally because he's crying, and it's such a big moment for him. And I don't know, Andrew Garfield, just that was beautiful. That was gorgeous. I love that moment. Him overall was amazing, but that scene is going to be the scene that I talk about forever and ever. I don't top scene of a Marvel movie to me. That was, I don't know what it is. It just struck a chord. It was so beautiful. So his performance, amazing, so good. And he gets the justice he deserves as an actor.
He's amazing, no pun intended.
Oh yeah.
You're amazing.
You're amazing. Yes, you're amazing.
That was so good. Also, we just have I know Lou kind of mentioned this, the sillier fan service moments. This isn't related to performance, but they did the pointing meme.
Yeah,
they did it, and they did the Willem
That was such a cool scene, though. It was so funny.
Yeah.
They did the 2 Spider-Man memes, and I can't be mad at it because it really was blink and you miss it moments, but they put it in there for the fans, and that was just fun. That's a good time. So yeah.
I want to highlight Willem Dafoe's performance as Norman Osborn, and that dude is he just got off the whatever Spider-Man he just worked on and stepped in the next day because he didn't miss a beat. He was so menacing. He was so terrifying, especially when that switch happens. That switch is crazy. He's so good, and I'm like, man, this is a good Spider-Man villain. So yeah, I'm my brain's all over the place. Alex, take it away.
Look, you stole it from me. You stole it from me. Willem Dafoe, he proved why Norman Osborn is one of the coldest, most evil villains that the Marvel universe has to offer, and he just encapsulated that perfectly. And the twist was incredible, where he got the webbing on his mug, if you remember, like Spider's Spider-Man. Yeah, his little tingle sense was going off. It was oh yeah, that was look, all the villains did a great job. Alfredo Molina worked so well as a hammy villain that he was in the Raimi movies. He was just hamming it up, really over the top. And Jamie Foxx, thank God they gave him a chance to redeem. Speaking of redemption, to redeem himself from the prior movie.
Man.
Yeah, because that blue Electro thing was not working. And I do enjoy that that they referenced. That's oh, you had a makeover. There's fan service. We even got Norman Osborn. I'm something of a scientist myself.
Yep.
Which
fan service from Jamie Foxx's character being so disappointed that Andrew Garfield's white.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
So good. That was such an amazing moment. I just had to point that out.
Okay, let's talk the technical aspects of the movie, the music, CGI, cinematography. Yeah, tell me how'd you guys feel?
Music was so good.
Yeah.
Well, they used the scores from the other Spider-Man movies. So anyone who's watched them and is a fan, you're gonna immediately feel that like nostalgia moment. In most of the like sad, kind of more important moments, they had the Raimi Spider-Man sounds and like the score, and that worked beautifully. I thought it was fantastic. Like that, to me, even because even in some of those moments, like you didn't have those Spider-Mans, it was just Tom Holland Spider-Man, but you still have those callbacks of like, no, this is the character, like this is all one character, this is all one grand story, and it felt really encapsulating with the music, and I thought that was done super well.
Low key, the aging for Norman Osborn and Alfred Molina was really good. They look like the characters that they were in their Spider-Man movies, and it was really subtle because I saw like an interview with Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe, and Jamie Foxx, and I'm like, yeah, these dudes look old, but then in the movie they aged them just enough to look like their characters in the movie, and I was like, yo, that was good. Marvel's really getting good at the aging, man.
Yeah, yeah, Michelle, you mentioned the music. It was like when you start talking about it, the Spider-Man theme actually, from the movies, it actually popped into my head. So that just goes to show how iconic the music is. And like at the climax, they had like a version with like a choir singing it, and that's when it really hit me. That's like, okay, yeah, this is an iconic soundtrack for iconic movies, and yeah, it works so well. Yeah, as far as cinematography goes, yeah, a lot of nighttime scenes, which, you know, as a Spider-Man fan, you like stuff more vibrant in the daytime.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that, but like there were a few like major battles that were kind of dark. But you know, that's it. That's the other nitpicky thing. Okay, I will move on to the next point, which is the biggest surprise of the movie, of a movie filled with surprises and plot twists. What was the biggest one? What caught you off guard?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, because I didn't like, because I actively avoided everything and anything, I was surprised by 90% of this movie. Which is like, that was honestly what I'd hoped, truly. I think the thing that I walked away being most like surprised about was May dying. Somehow in my mind, that didn't even occur to me as something that could happen.
Right.
Like I really didn't even, if you'd asked me to predict 100 things, I don't think that would have been on my list of predictions. And it worked really well. It was necessary for the character, but it was shocking. And like I kind of already mentioned it, but they did the fake out thing. So like, oh, she gets knocked down, oh my god, she's dying, and then she gets up and she's like, no, I'm good. So then you're, as a viewer, I'm like, she's fine, everything's fine, and then you get like the gut punch of her actually dying. And then we didn't mention him, but I'm going to. Tom Holland killed it. He always does a great job. But in that scene, like we've seen him have characters die and be really impacted, but like no one is more important to him than May. And we felt that. Like I felt that truly in his reaction to her dying and just everything after that. And I think he also sold the rage really well, because we actually got to see that from him, which was really great. But yeah, May dying was an absolute shock for me. And I'm still like, in the list of things in my mind, I like keep remembering that happened, being like, oh my god, we did that. So it was good. It was really shocking.
There were so many big surprises in this movie, even surprises that you knew that was happening, and when it happened you were still like, oh my god. One of the first surprises that it didn't really catch me off guard, but the big surprise was what it did is Charlie Cox as Daredevil. We got old Matty in the MCU now. Him being there was a surprise, but then when he caught that brick,
The brick,
bam, and then he just like, because I'm a good lawyer, and I'm like, all right, that's good. That was really fun. And I guess the last thing I'm going to talk about, just the big surprises, is the fact that 99.99% of our brain told us that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire was going to be in this movie. But boy, when they showed up, it was still like, you didn't know. That's the whole theater went nuts. And it was like one of the best theater experiences since like Endgame that happened. So it was like, everybody was just cheering. It was wild. I loved it.
Yeah. Look, to me, I was not expecting Aunt May to die in this movie. And like when she got hit by that glider, I'm like, oh my God, they're killing her. They're literally killing her off. And, but even though she got up after, I like in my head, I'm like, wait, how is she alive? What is happening right now? So yeah, and once that happened, it kind of all clicked. It's like, oh, Peter doesn't have his Uncle Ben moment. This is his Uncle Ben moment, but with Aunt May. And yeah, that was probably the biggest shock, aside from Daredevil, which, you know, even though I was expecting that, Daredevil was huge. And the mid-credit scene, which I was not expecting at all, and we will get to that. We'll get to that right now with the final thought, or before that final thoughts. Let's talk about the mid-credit scene and the end-credit scene. So I will spoil them right here. The mid-credit scene, we have Venom in his resort. Tom Hardy, absolutely drunk, and yeah, he's just going on and on, just mumbling at the bartender there, while the symbiote is just chirping in his head. It's hilarious stuff. I wasn't expecting to see that, and he's teleported back along with all the rest of the heroes and the villains back to their respective universes. But the little symbiote alien is left there on the bar, which is like, ooh, what's gonna happen there? And from the post-credit scene, just a straight up, Marvel should do this more often. This is my take on it. Marvel should just do this more often. The trailer, a movie trailer for the next movie, Doctor Strange. Thank you, Marvel, and thank you for Shuma Gorath, because I cheered loudly for that tentacled one-eyed beast. What do you guys think of the mid and post credits?
I will disagree with you, I think, because I think you liked the Venom one a lot.
The what? Sorry?
That one, you liked the Venom credit. Like, you enjoyed that?
Yes.
You were happy with that. Okay. I wasn't. I was confused,
okay.
Honestly. I didn't, at no point in the rest of the movie did I question anything that was happening. It all made sense to me. I was like, this checks out. Anyone who knows Peter Parker is coming here. I get it. No problem. I didn't understand how Tom Hardy Venom was involved in any way, shape, or form. Like, I couldn't understand why he got pulled in. Like, hello?
Yeah.
So that was my
Venom 2. Sorry, you're probably gonna watch Venom Part 2, but at the end of Venom,
I have seen Venom Part 2,
oh,
but
okay.
I still didn't understand, because in the post credit of Venom Part 2, I didn't think he already existed in the Spider-Man universe. Is what, like, I didn't think he existed in Tom Holland's universe. I thought he existed in a separate universe. So I'm like, why is he here? How did he get pulled in? Does that, like, I got confused, is more of the story. Like, I was confused, because then also, if he already exists in Tom Holland universe, then where did he get sent to? Because he's already where he belongs. So, like, where was he from? I don't understand. I had so many questions about that, honestly. Like, the only answer that, like, one of my friends gave me is, like, because of Venom being a symbiote, apparently, like, her interpretation was that all the symbiotes have, like, a collective mind. So somewhere, one of the symbiotes knows about a Peter Parker. So therefore they all do somehow. That was, like, the explanation I was given. Once I was given that explanation, totally made sense. But at the time I was like, I don't like this. I hate this. But then the trailer was that was a treat. That was so amazing. I was not like, they've never done that. I agree with Alex. They should absolutely do that again. That was such a special treat to see the whole trailer, like, for the first time, also in a theater setting like this. Because, like, Lou's experience, like, my theater was into it. They were so excited. Like, they cheered for Garfield, they cheered for Tobey Maguire, they cheered for, like, my theater was living it. The second this trailer started happening, my theater was so hyped. We literally, like, nobody got up, nobody left for the mid-credit. Like, everyone stayed, and everyone was so excited and cheering for this trailer, which was just so, like, it was a great trailer, great experience too. Like, it was fun to experience a trailer in this setting, which was cool.
So for the mid-credit scene featuring Venom, it was okay. I wasn't excited about it as much, except for the little symbiote that was left, meaning, like in my head, the scenarios were playing where Peter lost his like Iron Spider suit, and the help that he's probably going to get is through the symbiote. Is going to be more of like that first time Peter gets the symbiote. So that's what I was thinking. I was, oh, it's okay. But that Doctor Strange trailer, Lord, it looks so good. Where do I but Alex, you're gonna be disappointed. That was not Shumagorath. It
What do you
was
mean?
a Namor villain. Apparently, they released toys for it already, and it's not. That's what I thought too, until I saw something where they released the toys, and it's supposed to be a Namor villain from like whatever from the sea, or I don't know, but it is not Shumagorath. But yeah, that trailer just looks really good. Sam Raimi is back. I'm so excited for it. We're gonna have crazy old Wanda and America Chavez. I don't know much about her. We talked about her last night a little bit. I'm like,
she apparently can kick holes through realities or some business like that. Like
she's from another
something
universe, so
crazy
she's
like
not
that.
from our Earth. Like we're from the 616. But yeah,
Yeah.
she's from somewhere else. But yeah, no, that trailer looks really good and got me really excited.
Evil Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Evil Doctor. I was about to say that. Evil
Sorry,
Doctor
okay,
Strange.
you go,
That's right.
Alex, sorry.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how
No.
did you not?
No. That's I already gave my thoughts, but yeah, Evil Doctor Strange is like, whoa, that's from the Only Good What If episode.
yeah, right.
Awesome.
And like
Very
Cumberbatch
cool.
is gonna kill it. Like he's going
Yeah.
to do so well with those two like opposing characters.
Yes.
Yay!
Bring
Yay!
it.
And it also like it
Yes.
could be horror. Like it really could. Because like the What If was kind of horror. Like it could do it. It could get there. And I'm like, I love this Spider-Man movie, but like this new Doctor Strange could be like the best for me ever if it goes where I hope. Like it could be so good. I'm too excited. I'm nervous now.
That's right. Okay, let's talk final thoughts. Your rating for the movie, and is it a top 5 Marvel movie for you?
I give it. I'm gonna do it. It's a 10 out of 10. It is a 10 out of 10. I freaking love this movie. I'm having an internal struggle of where to place it in my top 5 because I'm just gonna say like it could be number 1 with Black Panther. Like I don't think I could. They both do 2 different things for me, but they're both like my number 1. Like they're tied, and then everything else is below that for me. Like this movie is top Marvel movie. So good.
Best Spider-Man movie yet. While we were trying to think of the rating, I was trying to find reasons to not give it a 10, trying to give it a 9.8, 9.9, but man, let's just round up. It's a 10. This movie is a 10. And as for a top 5 MCU movie, yes, it is for me. Number 1 is still Endgame / Infinity War. This is number 2. Number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Number 4 is Thor Ragnarok, and number 5 is still Eternals, surprisingly. But yeah.
Wow.
Oh, Eternals. Wow.
On there.
Yeah, it feels like a different universe altogether when the Eternals was around. But yeah, it's 10s all around. 10 out of 10. Spider-Man. Gotta love it. Gotta rep my boy. Yeah. What else to say that you guys haven't said? It was fantastic. It's truly a love letter to the character and all the other characters surrounding him. Yeah, it's definitely a top 5. Whether it's number 1 or number 2, I'm not sure, but give it some time, and then I'll look back on it and see. Yeah, because I don't even remember the top 5 I gave the last time, because there's like 30 of these movies, and I don't know. It's
We just
tough.
have to keep like a running list, like just like
I
write
know.
it down somewhere, and then anytime a new one comes in, just kind of stick it where you need it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just boop, boop. All right, so I guess that does it for Spider-Man No Way Home. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex, and I've been joined by Lou and Michelle, which I don't remember if I introduced in the beginning because
We're
all the
nameless,
spider
it's
stuff.
fine.
Yeah,
Spider-Man, it's No Way Home. It's crazy.
Spider-Man. That's it. It was nuts. Like and subscribe. Follow us on our socials. Leave a comment if you liked it or if you didn't like it. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.